DC and the Capstone Report. DC and the Capstone Report presented by RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. DC, welcome into the Blitz. How you doing this morning?
Oh, doing good, Martin. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Are you a little closer to home than you were last week?
Yeah, I'm at home this week.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate you letting me do on the road last week, but it was a great game at Louisville, and last week's game was a really good game here. It was hot, though. It was hot in Legion Field.
Yeah. Hey, listen, yesterday I heard throughout the day people being down on this Crimson Tide team, talking about the defense looked a little slow, some miscommunication, that this is not a championship team. Talked about the offensive line. What's your overall assessment of Alabama 2 games in?
Well, if you want to know my honest opinion, I think people are looking for things to be wrong with this team. To be honest with you, Martin, I don't know what the Alabama fans are wanting out there. This team is giving them everything they're wanting. They're having to look for things to say they're wrong. Let's face it here. I like to put it in a practical perspective. We're talking about 2 games in, a new whole entire defensive back, from linebackers all the way back to defensive backfield. We got an offensive line that's in different positions. They're great skill guys. They're still gelling, still trying to come together. And I mean, you can pick apart anything that you feel like, because none of us are perfect, and there's never going to be a perfect game, so to speak, because somebody will be finding something wrong with everything. So I just think everybody's looking for something. If you assess this team, I think they're right where I thought they would be, maybe a little ahead offensively than I thought they would be. You know, I've seen some Alabama teams that are championship teams come out and struggle against lesser opponents. But this team has come out and not only not struggled, they've come out and pretty much put everybody under by halftime. So, you know, I don't see that. And by the way, you can fault an offensive line all you want, but I mean, every offensive line gives up sacks. Every offensive line gives up plays where they don't have a lot of running. But look at this offensive line. You're faulting an offensive line that you had a rusher in this last game gain 138 yards on 20-something touches. I mean, you got 200-something yards rushing. You got all the passing yards that we've ever wanted in a game in the last 2 games. So I think everybody's just quick to find something wrong. I think Alabama is a little ahead of where I thought they'd be at this point.
Yes, speaking with DC in the Capstone Report. DC, when you look at the quarterback rotation, C.J. Watson asking, do you see the quarterback rotation staying in place? It seems to be working well and gives opposing teams more to work on because Jalen has been efficient as well. Not being able to focus all defensive prep on one quarterback could make both have easier times. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I'll be honest with you, Martin. I was surprised. I was surprised this last game that Jalen came in and played. And the reason I was surprised was everything I was hearing out of the practices was that Mac Jones was getting all the second-team reps and that he would be the quarterback, and that Jalen was thinking about redshirting and playing just a couple of games later on when we needed him in situational type game plan. But you know, I think something changed. That was probably true. Other people have reported that. It's the same thing I was hearing. And I think that something changed in that. I think that may have been something that maybe Jalen's parents was wanting to have him, but Jalen had a different idea. And, you know, I love the way they rotated. I mean, you can't fault Jalen Hurts in this game. And he was almost 100% on passing. Made every good play you could possibly make. Only error he had was trying to do too much. That was, I don't think Coach Saban's ever got on anybody for effort. He was trying to, just didn't take care of the ball and had that one a fumble. So, I think your caller is correct. CJ is correct. I think that this is imposing for any, defensive coordinator out there to try to prepare for both quarterbacks. And definitely hasn't done anything to stop the rhythm. I mean, Tua comes right back in. When he comes in, he's still on rhythm. And it doesn't seem to affect Hurts at all. When he goes in, he's ready to play, and he's on point. I'm probably a better passer this year than he was last year.
Yeah, well, that was my follow-up question to that is some people are saying, well, hey, pump the brakes on Jalen. This is what he's always done against lesser opponents and not against the big opponents. In your opinion, even though he struggled against, I always love it, he struggled against Auburn, who beat the team that could have and should have probably beat us in the national championship, and barring a miraculous comeback by Tua and company, they would have. And they also beat us at home. And then, of course, he lost to Clemson. Do you in your opinion, is he any different than last year? Any improvement?
Oh, yes. I think that you'd have to be blind not to see that he's improved over. If you know anything about football, I think people, when they say he hasn't improved, just tell them more about what they know about football than what his improvement. You can look at him in the pocket. You can look at his eyes. You can look at his coordination. Dan Enos has made a difference in his footwork. He's made a difference in his progression. He's made a difference in his being able to release the ball fast. In that game against Arkansas State, he had a quicker release than any time I've ever seen him pull a trigger. And he actually ran an RPO. I mean, you think in the past he's ran an RPO, but he was actually running a run option. He would take it out of the back's belly and run it himself. That was more like an option play. An RPO is where you can keep your eyes downfield, put it in the back's belly, pull it out of the back's belly, and throw to an open receiver because the defense thinks it's an RPO. Thinks it's a run.
Right.
But that's what makes it a pass option. Jalen did that for the touchdown to Irv Smith and the touchdown to Jerry Jeudy that he threw. Those are things that he couldn't do or didn't do last year. Didn't have the confidence enough to do in a game. And I think Dan Enos has been a big help in his progression. And so, yes, anyone out there that says, hey, pump the brakes on Jalen, he's not improved, just doesn't know what they're seeing, doesn't know enough football to realize the intricacies of the things that he's made a difference in. And look, you're talking about struggling against Auburn, you're talking about struggling against Georgia and Clemson. Come on, Martin. Those are the three best defenses that we've ever faced.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who wouldn't struggle against those teams.
All right. Speaking with DC in the Capstone Report, DC, when, of course, Tua, this is clearly Tua's team, clearly Tua's job as the starter. What's your initial assessment of Tua and what he's been able to do through 2 games as a starter?
Unbelievable. That's my word for him. I think he's amazing. I think he's out of this world, playing on a different level. I've heard so many coaches, so many other commentators say those type things, but that is the truth. I mean, he is probably one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen with my eyes play at Alabama. I put him in a category of very few quarterbacks I've ever seen play. But I mean, he can do some things that just regular normal people can't do, and so I call him amazing. I think he's just playing on a different level. I think it's important for us to appreciate that. I mean, there's some things that he can do that other quarterbacks just cannot do. Cannot make the throw, cannot read fast enough to read the progression to get the ball to the right player. He has an uncanny ability of finding the open receiver across the middle, and which really adds to the yards after catch. He throws his players open to a point where they're running away from the receivers, and that's a small thing, but it's a big thing when it adds into big plays. That's what Coach Saban's been wanting, some explosive plays. And I believe Tua, he's picked the right quarterback to lead us and to be his team. I think all the specialists appreciate it as well. They love to be thrown open instead of having within a few inches of the ball being different. It means their adjustment, their running stride makes a difference in how many yards after catch they have. So I think he's amazing, just a great talent, an unbelievable talent.
We're going to continue our conversation with DC. I totally agree with you. Maybe the best to have ever stepped foot on the Capstone. He definitely is off to a great start. And I told someone yesterday, and I said it earlier on the program, that we judge Jalen against Tua, and he won't ever add up to be Tua. And we judge Tua against perfection, and as good as he is, he still won't ever be perfection. So Jalen fans, lay off Tua. Tua fans, lay off Jalen. Both are improving, and hopefully they both will continue to improve and get better, and hopefully both stay healthy. And then Coach Saban determines how he plays them. Coming back on the other side, we're going to continue our conversation with DC and the Capstone Report, presented by RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. DC, coming back on the other side, we're going to get your good, bad, and ugly from the game. DC, the Capstone Report, presented by RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. DC, as we were going to break there, I told you we wanted to come back and get your good, bad, and ugly. What was your good for Saturday?
Well, I'm a good has to be the offense. I think the offense come out for the second game of the year, clicking on all cylinders, passing and rushing, and I was just impressed with the way we played on offense. I think, of course, Tua and Jalen did a great job. But when we put the podcast up last night, my offensive players of the game was Najee Harris and Lester Cotton. If you look at the Najee Harris coming in, probably the third back off the bench, and then coming in for 138 yards, he did a great job running the ball. And Lester Cotton, if anybody would just, I took a film, watched him. I graded him out around 90. I think other people graded him out around 87. Still, that is great. He did a great job. Local product right here out of Tuscaloosa, and just did a great job of handling in that game. And so handling his opponent in that game. So I think that was a good part of it was the offense, especially the play of Najee Harris and our quarterbacks and also Lester Cotton.
Yeah, and when you look at the running game had moments where it looked really good, moments where I think our short yardage, they're going to have to get a little tougher, a little meaner. But overall, I think they created opportunities for some chances at big plays. So always good. Can always get better, but not as bad as I think people are thinking. Go ahead.
One thing, Martin, right there, just so our listeners understand. When a running play is tough, like it was on a couple of third downs, that is not always the lineman's fault, not always the running back's fault. You have to give the quarterback a little bit of fault in that because he could have got us out of that play. That was the tight end would have been wide open over the middle because both middle linebackers and the safety committed to the run on that one. It would just been a check-off play. I don't know if they've not given Tua the ability to check off yet or give him that, or he does have that confidence. But from where I was sitting, it was an easy check-off. He had at least 5 seconds to check out of the play, get to the right play. So let's don't blame every stuff running. You're a fullback. But
that's the problem.
Yeah,
they don't have one of those.
They want to blame the line and blame the running back. You also got to put some. If you're going to give blame, you got to give blame where it is. You can check out of that play, and you have a wide open first down, touchdown. And so let's make it even when we're talking about giving blame. So it doesn't all fall on our line on our running back.
Oh, absolutely. DC, what was your bad for Saturday?
Well, I think I hate to say about what I thought was bad, but our extra points had to be bad this game, Martin. Where we were sitting, when the first one clanged off the upright, you think, well, okay, missed another one. Then when the second one clanged off the upright, my thought was, isn't it harder to hit the upright than hit that big space between them? That's what I was thinking. So I think our extra points had to be a little bad. I believe that the change there to Joseph Bulovas, Austin Jones definitely has the experience coming in as a transfer from Temple. I just think at that point it was in his head. He didn't look like he was following through. He was trying to overcorrect on the second one. But Bulovas did a good job when he came in, so maybe we find our answer there at kicking extra points. But we got to get that corrected. Those points make a difference when you play in close games.
I personally hope Saban finds out that it was Tua's fault, so he can put someone else in and get my starting quarterback off the field for a chance at a cheap shot. I
know you don't like that. You've never been a proponent of having a starting quarterback be the holder. I know that's always been a pet peeve.
And it is still the case.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and especially being that the hand is where Tua had the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. Maybe nobody else can do it, and that would be the only reason that I would see that. But Saban, you can question him, but it's hard to question the result. So we will see what Boulevard does. And then if Boulevard messes up, then it might be the holder. What you think? What's the ugly? Go ahead.
Well, ugly, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to stay on the specialist here, and I really hate to pick on the specialist. We've grown, I'll be honest with you, Mark, we have grown very over the last 4 years. We've gotten just thinking that the punters can all kick them 50 yards. Our punting in this game was ugly. From the drop to the steps to the delivery to getting the ball out to not a single ball turned over. I think we're putting 39 or 40 yards, but we've been used to seeing J.K. Scott boom those punts, and I'm telling you, J.K. Scott was more of a weapon for the University of Alabama football in his time here than anyone give him credit for, because he's a punter. But there were several games where he flipped field position and allowed our defense to hold teams from scoring, and we just don't have that. So I think our punting game right now is ugly. Coach Saban alluded to it. There's something wrong with the drop. There's something wrong with the, getting the ball out fast enough, turning it over. So that concerns me. I think that's the ugly part of our game right now is our punting.
All right, we got Ole Miss coming into town next this weekend. I'm sorry, we're headed to Ole Miss this weekend, DC, and just give what your analysis is of this matchup where Alabama you think stacks up or has an advantage or disadvantage going to Oxford.
Well, I think Alabama has an advantage definitely offensively. I think Ole Miss has a great offense. I think they've played two teams that have porous defenses. In the Texas Tech team, of course, they don't play much defense out there. Against Southern Illinois, they had a porous defense as well. So I think they're going to – I really believe they have a great offense, but I think matching up against Alabama's defense, they're going to try to stretch the field on us and try to put the pressure on our young defensive backs. But I believe Alabama's defense will hold up against them better than the other two teams they've played, so I don't see them having as high a score. I think our offense gets the advantage in this game. I think from everything I've seen, even against lesser opponents, Ole Miss's defense have just been miserable. They've been porous. People running through them and passing on. So if Tua can come into this game, and I think it's his first start in a true road game where he's the man. If he comes in this game and plays up to his potential, then I don't think there's any way that Ole Miss can stop them. And I think Alabama has the offensive production to win, even a shootout if it has to be. But I don't believe that Ole Miss is going to score that many points on our defense. I think our defense is better than most people give them credit for.
Yeah, there's been a lot of guys running open underneath, but in times, and people think that that's going to lead to a lot of points. I don't think so. I kind of tend to agree with you as well. So you may not have a prediction per score, but what do you see Alabama kind of covering from a spread standpoint? It was somewhere around 20 on yesterday.
I think 20 points yesterday. That may be a little high, but on the podcast we put up, I said Alabama 37, Ole Miss 17. I don't think Ole Miss scores more than 17 points against Alabama. I would take the under on this game. I think the points is 68. Now, I believe if we hit on all cylinders, Alabama could score 70 points on Ole Miss's defense if it continues to play. But I'm adding in some intangibles. We're going to Ole Miss. They've beat us 2 times in the last 10 years, more than any other team has beat us. They have a good offense. They're going to have a home crowd, and we got a quarterback who's starting his first game on the road. So I'm just saying that I'm just being conservative. I wouldn't be surprised if we beat them in the high 60s, score the high 60s only if our offense clicks on all cylinders and we don't have any mistakes.
All right, one last question for DC Capstone Report presented by RollTideBama.com, FreelancePictures.com, and you can find them at DCCapstoneReport.com. DC, do you see the quarterback rotation? Has Nick Saban decided that this is going to be he's going to script plays, or do you see the rotation we've seen coming to an end?
Well, I don't know. I can't answer that. I know we'll know after this game. If the same rotation happens in this game and Jalen goes in on about the third series like he's happened, third or fourth series like he's been in the last 2 games, then we'll know that's going to be a set thing going forward. I think his first SEC game, it's been the tendency, it's been the history. If you look at history, that by the first SEC game, Coach Saban has decided on a starter, and he's your starter, and plays your starter. So I think you'll either find out in this game that Jalen will come in situational times, or he'll keep doing what he's doing. So I haven't had any leading, or if anyone's told me anything about what's going on this week. What I was hearing last week it's really completely flipped, completely changed. So it may be Jalen Tua going forward.
Yes, sir. All right, that's DC in the Capstone Report. DC, tell them how they can follow you and where they can find more of your great work.
Well, the podcast is up online now. It's on our website at dccapstonereport.com. Lance has done a great job of getting it together, and got some great videos. We've been getting a lot of followers from the $1 Million Band parents, because we've been showing a lot of the band live. I think that's been fun for our listeners out there as well. So you can follow us at rolltidebama.com and freelancepictures.com. Also on Twitter, I'm David Cott 50.
All right, that's DC, the Capstone Report. Joins us every Tuesday to review Bama's most recent opponent and preview their upcoming opponent. DC, can't wait to catch up with you on next Tuesday as we talk about Alabama versus the Ole Miss Rebels. Thanks, DC.
Well, thank you, Martin. Have a great day, and roll tide.